Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the leadership doctors, Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilience Framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out. The Leadership Doctors' alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water succinctly, creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in the leadership doctors to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website. Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the leadership doctors, Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilience Framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out. The Leadership Doctors' alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water succinctly, creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in the leadership doctors to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 131 of the REALL Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate with your very own leadership doctors, HERS, home of the Resilience Framework. I am Dr. Sheka Houston.
Good morning, and I am Dr. Tammy Taylor. We want to say good morning to our REALL Academy family.
Most definitely. Good morning, Tammy, and good morning, everyone. And let's see who we got with us. Principal Hurt wasn't on with us this morning. He's out in Georgia conducting some professional development. So we are definitely wishing him well. So if you all would share the feed out. And good morning to Principal Sherrod Laws. Good morning to Tashika Truesdale, who's been on with us before. Miss Dot McKeever Jeter, good to see you up in Illinois. Melissa Jones Chunu, good morning. Dr. Nelson, boss educator, good morning. The GOAT is in the house, Principal Kafele. We appreciate you. And I'm sure more people will be joining us soon. So if you all would share out, and we will continue and say good morning as people join in. So definitely thanks for you all joining us. And you all know that each week we talk about keeping it real. As you heard in the promo, REAL stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. So just tell us in the comments how you have done this week keeping it real, either with an emoji or a testimonial. We appreciated Principal Sherrod Law shared his real moment in increasing a student's literacy achievement a couple of weeks back. So that was awesome. So we love to hear your sharing your stories of how you're keeping it real, or just tell us with an emoji, either way.
Definitely, with our 48 years of experience between the two of us at various levels and a number of different awards under our belts, we are currently helping schools to increase achievement at the high school level, institute MTSS, training teachers on literacy, writing, and small group instruction, just to name a few of the things that we are doing. We're also very excited about our work with building our sisters in our Build My Sister collaborative, the partnership that we have with the University of South Carolina. Back in December, we had an event and we had over 30 people who attended that first event that was in person with us. And we are ecstatic that we have an event coming up on February 21st, and there are over 600 people already registered for that virtual event. So we're really excited about that.
Most definitely. And if I look like I am not as stressed as I normally am, that is because we have joining us. And if you all could help us welcome our two media interns all the way from the UK, Miss Tito. And she told me, how do you pronounce her last name? Ajabe?
Yeah.
Is that right? Okay. And if I'm saying it wrong, Tito, I'm gonna get it right next week. Please help us welcome Tito. She has been doing a phenomenal job with us. Her and Rebecca Elms is also our second media intern. They are backstage, so they are doing the comments for us. They are putting up the banners. So that is why I don't look as discombobulated as I normally do, because
Thank
I
you,
have.
lady.
Yes, we have some help today. So we are very appreciative. So please help us welcome them. But as Tammy stated, we are definitely excited about taking Build My Sister to the big city of New York. We'll be presenting at the Transformational Leadership Conference 2024. Build My Sister is our leadership development program for Black women in leadership, and it is unique in that we use a theoretical framework to provide leadership development that centers around authenticity and collaboration. So, with this framework, it definitely not just helps to build the development of Black women in leadership, but it also extends to the building of the family. So if you are interested in any type of professional development that we have, please make sure that you are reaching out and filling out our contact form on our website. So before we get to our topic today, and before we can even start, we definitely have to acknowledge that today is the third day of Black History Month. And for those of you that are not aware, Black History Month was an extension of Black History Week, started on February 7th, 1926, by Carter G. Woodson. And some people say things like, oh, they gave us the shortest month of the year, or I observe Black History Month all year long, and they can't reduce me to 1 month, things like that. And, Tammy and I are definitely proponents of celebrating your history and being engulfed in your history 365 days a year. But we should not do that at the expense of minimizing what Black History Month is, what it stands for, and that the inception of it was created by a Black man who wanted to make sure that our history was brought forth and celebrated. So that is something that we learned from Principal Kafele. So we definitely want to acknowledge that this morning, and we can definitely celebrate, because when you have Black History Months, what that does is bring about awareness on a national platform. So it helps other people become aware of the importance of celebrating our history, what our history is about, and that's why it is so important. So just make sure that in our celebrations that we are not reducing what Black History Month is. We can absolutely celebrate 365 days a year, but do it with the respect of acknowledging where it came from and what it's all about.
Definitely.
So that brings us to our topic. We're going to be keeping it real today with scheduling. So, as you know, with our REAL framework, we start off with respect. So, when you're thinking about scheduling from the aspect of leadership, then you definitely have to think of how you're going to be cultivating your classes. A lot of times we miss the mark, in our opinions, with scheduling, just because of how we have things set up in education. We have these names of courses that can demoralize children. So we have to be cognizant of that and figure out ways to not have that bias attached to things that are scheduled. So we know in our state, and we're pretty sure in multiple people's states, you have to have your gifted and talented group. That's what most people put it on the schedule as, gifted and talented. And parents a lot of times become obsessed with making sure, because everybody wants the best for their children, making sure that their kids are either in honors, that's usually the next course set, or GT. And so, what we have to think about, one of the things that I had thought about as a leader, when we have GT honors and then everybody else is just regular, what is that saying to children when you look at your schedule and you're didn't make the GT class or the honors? And I could see it in real form when we would have open house and the children would get their schedules, and we had it set up to where one team was the gifted and talented team, the other team was not. And you could see the wind just released from the children when they saw, oh, I didn't make it to the GT team. So I had to come up with something different than just GT and regular. So one of the things that we offer as a way to get around that, and it goes into belonging research as well. You can have your gifted classes the state deems, but you can also have a real academy class for your students. And some schools call it the avid group of students, but it doesn't just have to be regular. Everybody can belong to something. You have to figure out what that is at your school.
I think too, for me, and before I say that, I want to just go back to something that you were saying before, because I think it's important for us to just also make mention of Sankofa, because when you are paying attention to the past, and that's important for us to know our history, we have to know the history of why Black History Month is Black History Month. So I think it's a good thing for us to share that so people do understand and don't think that Black History Month is something that shortchanges us, but
Mhm.
something that is meant to do exactly what you said before, to empower us and to make sure that we are remembering why we have that moment. But I was going to say, just kind of in a different vein for elementary schools, like it's a good thing that we don't have to track students, as you kind of just mentioned. I'm the type of principal that believes in doing whatever it takes for the kids. So however they need to be arranged, and I mean, we do have some of that. When I first started at my school, it was a little more than it is now, because I want to build the kind of staff in the school. My classes are set up such that if Abby were coming to school at Great Falls Elementary, I would want her to be able to be in any class at that school. And
Mhm.
until I have that as the culture in that school, or that is the norm for what's happening inside those classrooms, then there's work for me to do as the administrator to make sure that the standards meet what I would want for my own personal child, my nieces, my nephews. So that is one of the things that we worked really hard on. When I first got there, there were parents who were saying, well, I want to be in Miss Houston's class, but I don't want my kids in Miss Taylor's class. I do not want her. And I, I don't want that kind of conversation, because that does not breed belonging within the school.
Mhm.
That creates competition and contentment, discontentment, and we are not in the business of being able to serve children if we're not in a good space with one another. So I think that you're right, Shika, making the space one that children know whatever is done wherever I am. And in my school, we shift. Like, you might be in this homeroom, but you might go to this class because this better suits what your needs are for math, or you might go to this class for what your needs are better met for ELA. So we do a lot of shifting and moving within the building to try to make sure that we meet the individual needs of kids and to preserve their integrity.
Most definitely, Tammy. And I think that was Dr. Nelson that put up, we should be able to close our eyes and place our children in any class that's in the building. And that is most definitely true.
Mhm.
And that was the standard that I used in my building as the standard of excellence for the school, which we will be getting into next. For your classroom, it was the
Mhm.
Lizzie and Bella rule, and those are the names of my daughters. But also, when we're thinking about this, the respect factor with scheduling, before we move on to excellence, one note that we could take as secondary people from the elementary school people that I think they do a better job with. And I realized this when my daughters were going through school. A lot of times at the secondary level, we wait and we let them come pick up schedules, before. Um, school. It's maybe a couple days at open house or what have you. But it really gave a totally different feel when through the mail I received in an envelope with a stamp a letter from my child's teacher with information about who she was, about her family. It had pictures. So it really gives parents a different feel about where their child is going before you ever make it to the school. So when you're talking about cultivating a culture of something, this culture was being cultivated before we ever stepped foot on the school grounds, just through the mail. Oh wow, look at this. This is going to be your teacher. And so when we get there and now we can put a face with the name because we've gotten it in the mail already, that just makes you feel better as a parent, and even as the student. It takes away some of that anxiety about where your child is going, what class they're going to be in. And with
Mhm.
the secondary level, a lot of times we have this big secrecy going on, and it makes people anxious. And I know it's more children, but we got money to buy stamps, and if we don't have any money, do some fundraisers or figure out a way to get the PTO involved to get you some stamps. But it just really gave a different feel to it.
And I think it goes back to what the dynamics are in your situation. So if you're in a school where you can't mail out early yet, because you get bombarded with I don't want my child in Sheka Houston's class. um, Everybody is coming to you, and you don't even have the capacity to do the kinds of switching, because that happened when I first went to the school that I'm in. We had to stop with early identifying because um, there were going to be classes that ended up with no kids in them.
Mhm.
And you have to be able, I feel like I have to be able to justify being the principal who's placing kids in a classroom. If I'm putting children in this classroom and everybody's saying, I don't want my child in this class, I've got to figure out what's going on in
Mhm.
in this situation. And so just make sure you're aware of what the dynamics are in your particular context, because as you work through those things and you get to the point where, oh yeah, anybody that you have that you're going to receive. And I feel like that's kind of where we are now. Like you don't get any of that anymore. Oh, I don't want to be in that class. I don't want her. I don't want her. They know that there are excellent teachers in the school, and I'm thankful. I believe that my child's going to get whatever they need from wherever they're placed. So I think that's a really good point, Sheka, because I think that does make you feel good as a parent, and children love getting that
Mhm.
piece of mail
They
welcoming
do.
them to, um, even if it's just welcoming them back to school. So
Right.
that's a good thing.
So now we're moved on to excellence, and a lot of times there's a lot of variance of abilities within a class. So what you want to make sure of when you're scheduling is that the variation of the abilities in the classroom is not so broad that it is difficult for a teacher to be able to plan for that class or instruct that class. And so there's reports that you can look at to tell you about the variations of the abilities of your group. So that's something that you want to keep in mind as you're scheduling students.
For sure. And if you use NWEA, honestly, it's any platform. You can look at stay nines and see if you are setting your teacher up to be successful, if you're setting her up to fail. Because if you've set her up in a situation where there has to be only small group instruction in this class, because there is no place for the teacher to be able to connect with these students, to connect them together in the learning,
Mhm.
then that really is an impossible feat. You have to pay very careful attention to how you are configuring the class rosters. And one thing that I really like, and I'll say this from on the teacher and student aspect of things when you're thinking about excellence. We had support round visits this week, and one of my teachers was hailed for her work with how she has created groups within her class that have varying abilities, and how those kids are able together, when you provide that structure, to have the type of discourse where they help each other think through things and problem solve, and make sure that everybody is a part of the learning. So I think it's really important to pay attention, as you said, Shika, to the varying abilities that are being placed in particular situations.
Most definitely. And I've seen a lot of schools and principals shift now to a lot of schools have their own podcast or some type of form of communication where they're communicating with parents in the community. So if you want to bring parents into what goes into scheduling, building their capacity, that could be one of your podcast episodes.
Definitely.
Then what we've talked about all of that, calling to get my child out of this class and into this person's class, when I now have knowledge about what actually goes into scheduling, then I can, look at it from a different lens. It's not just this one, tunnel vision lens that I'm looking at it through. Now, of course, parents always want the best for their children, but at
Oh, yeah.
least they will have, be equipped with that information. The other part of making sure that you're scheduling for excellence, and I know that the elementary schools, I think, again, do a lot better job than secondary, is that making sure that when you have a diverse class, so there should not be like singletons in the class. A lot of times, everyone should be able to connect with somebody who looks like them in your class. So I think that when intentionality is put to that, that also takes away anxiousness, from parents and from children as well.
I think it's very important, and we've even created a scheduler where we have the matrix is at the bottom, so that we know that we have a balanced classroom. We have a balanced group of boys, girls, black, white, other, because we also try to make sure that students with giftedness or special needs are also able to connect, because what you want is that sense of connectivity to who you are in your class with. You don't want anybody to be in a classroom and feel like they are the lone man out. So we do a very intentional job of building the rosters that reflect a balance of students within a homeroom.
Exactly. And even with gender, I wouldn't want my daughter to be in a classroom full of boys, nothing against boys, but I want her to be able to connect with some girls in the class as well. So all of
Definitely.
those things are important. And I think a lot of times we just throw kids in there and hit the button to schedule, and that's where we leave it, and that's a mistake. We have to put a lot more thought into scheduling.
Yeah, and you guys have a button to push. We're doing it by hand because we don't have a scheduler. We are the schedulers.
Well, a
So
lot of
that's
times we
something
start
different.
off on paper by hand
Uh,
and then we put it in to schedule. So secondary is a lot different than elementary, though. I do realize that. So we're getting close to the end, so I want to make sure we have time in honor too of Black History Month. And just you can see my Black History Month T-shirt that I'm wearing by Teas of Life. Teas of Life is a Black-owned business here in Chester, South Carolina. They have a large online presence. It's a $1 million brand. So if you need Black History T-shirts, please visit their website. These are a part of our Real Academy package that we offer to schools. We are working with a school right now that is going to get a lot of the things that you'll see in just a moment. But these are our real resilience poster packs. So this is just making sure that that messaging and that imagery is there for your students, and in their particular school, they're going to be keeping it real in the Swamp Fox. So this is respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. It is showing what excellence and keeping it real looks like. This 14-year-old girl from Ohio earned 3 associate degrees before leaving high school. So when you want children to be excellent, when you're trying to shift the culture in your school to a school of excellence, you have to have messaging that shows children what that looks like. And so that is what our posters are all about. For each episode this month, we will be unveiling one. So this is one that is in that pack. It goes along with Real Advisory. And so with Real Advisory, students will be able to understand what respecting an education looks like, school, themselves, their peers, excellence in attendance and academics, how they should have accountability for their academics, and literacy and leadership as well is included. So that is a part of that package. And this is one of the things that that particular principal was very excited about, the real gear that will be able to be included in her PBIS program. So this is something, we call it the drip. That's what the children call it. And it has the lettering that they like as well, with the drip, the paint drip on it. So this is the Real Academy gear that we're actually partnering with Teas of Life to provide to schools as well. So to make a great part of your PBIS packages. Also comes with it the PBIS pack posters that you can customize for your school. You can customize these and make them, fit your own rules for your school. This is the secondary brand, and this portion, the resilience as my superpower, is for your elementary students. So if that is something that you are interested in, yes, thank you, Principal Laws, real swag. Y'all got to help me with my learning how to talk more cool like the children. So if you're interested in anything, or if any of this would help change the culture of your school to one of excellence, we are working with 2 phenomenal schools that will be bringing this on to cultivate a real excellent culture within their school with their children. So again, just fill out the contact form on our website, and we will be in touch with you about it. So this brings us to the end of our broadcast. Please join us next on Principal Kafele's page. He has some phenomenal guests outlined for us today, and on Sunday with Josh and Dean on Unlock the Middle. Then right back here on Saturdays, starting with Principal Hurt at 10 a.m., Create and Educate at 10:30. Remember, at Create and Educate, we create spaces that thrive. So we hope that you all keep thriving on this Saturday. Thank
Happy
you, guys.
Saturday.